So, hello, get back here in our global Node.js Summit. I hope that you take this couple of minutes break and relax, maybe do some exercises. By the way, write in comments how long you are with us. Let's decide who is the longest hour observer. Uh, so our next speaker is Lais Lima. She's a software engineer at Ast- Estrategia Educacional. I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. She's a software engineer with 3 years of experience in React, Node, GraphQL, and UI. And her goal is building interfaces and meaningful experiences. She's living in Brazil and she's a core contributor of Woo Makers Code, a global woman in tech community, gives front-end classes for Reprograma and supported projects from Node.br, the main Node.js community. She's also plays guitars. Has participated in some bands around the cities, and her favorite band is Iron Maiden. And I vote for Iron Maiden as well. And she'll speak about how to stop hating tests with Jest, Supertest, and Cypress. Elias, the stage is yours. Oh, like.
Yeah, I'm here. Are you listening?
Yes, we can hear you. Could you please start sharing presentation just to let everybody know that I'm not sleeping?
It's not Lias, it's Lais.
Lies. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know. It's different. So how it will be? I can start right now?
Yeah, you're already online, so we just start sharing your presentation.
It's okay. I will share it.
Go live. Our chat is supporting you. Okay. Good luck.
Are you saying? Okay. So, hi everyone. We will talk this night. Here in Brazil, it's night. About tests and tests and tests and tests. And why do we hate tests? Maybe you should like, but some people doesn't like to talk about tests, writing tests, fix tests, make test setups. So in this talk, we will know what can cause this. What can cause this? So my name is Lais. I am 21 years old. Actually, I am a software engineer at Estratégia Educacional. Estratégia Educacional. It's a learning company that offers trainings for public services roles in Brazil. And I have more experience with the front-end development, but is everything inside the Node ecosystem. And I'm also a community manager of Makers Code, a global women in tech community. And I'm also a community manager of the main Node community here in Brazil called Node.br, as you can see. And I live in the city of São Paulo here, play the guitars, I love Iron Maiden. So, not about me, let's see our agenda. The first we will talk about the reasons that don't like to test. And sometimes the test is not the only problem that causes. And the next one is the Jest, Supertest, and Cypress as tools to test our application. And the last one is about write clean test code. So let's go. Why do you hate testing? Maybe I think hating is a very strong word, but why might you not like writing tests? The first one for me is the worst part of testing is the setup. Setup and configurations depending on the complexity of your application, environments, integrations, it all could be a nightmare. So I will take a lot of time trying to research in styling libraries, presets, sometimes transforms, and this is a very boring work. The next one is time. time. Sometimes you have to write more tests than code, and it will take more time for writing code. The last one is simple laziness. This is neither urgent or crucial for you. You are not in the mood to learn a new syntax, search for new libs to install presets, transforms, and you will not lose money if you don't make tests on your application. So let's go to the real life, in which we have to prove quality, safety, and search for bugs and fix them. So now we need to scale a team that works with the same code across and beyond the Git. Git isn't enough here. So how do we prove it? Running automated tests, it's a good answer. So will this guarantee 100% of security of my application that it works? No, but it helps a lot. Yeah, we all know that our code is awesome. We can send rockets to the moon and make many things, analyzing the universe, the planets. Our code is awesome. But the test can do only 3 things. It isn't like our code. So let's see an anatomy of tests here. The first one is set something up, invoke something, and verifies the behavior. Here we have a plus, an add-on, like a teardown. Sometimes after test you have to make a destroyer, or clean something like a database, user data on front end, like a local storage. So this is like a teardown. And has a pattern to this. That means A, 3 A's. Arrange, act, and assert. Or maybe you can call setup, exercise, and verify in other articles. So it's okay. Here has an example how we practice this NA. It's only writing comments when you arrange our code to set up to make your invocation test, the action and the assertion. Without the comments, we have this code. So here's the difference. The readability here is better. So let's understand more about why tests are too complex to write, read, and sometimes to execute. Maybe the problem is not always the test. So let's understand some scenarios. So damn, the setup is too complicated, as I said before. I need to load a whole test environment, to see a database, and sometimes upload files or run some other services of my application. But have you ever wondered if it's possible to reduce all this load? Maybe the problem is the number of dependencies of your application or service. Okay, the next problem is I have multiple verifications. I need to test many use cases. Sometimes I made the mistake of also writing logic in tests for verify these things. Perhaps what is being tested has many possibilities. Can you write this more clearly? We have here multiple exercises steps so to generate a result. So maybe your API is too complex to interact with an integration. Complex code on tests. It's complicated here. What's going on when I have to invoke this thing? I don't understand what's happening here. Maybe your code writing is really too complicated. Even the logic of what was invoked in the test as the test. In consequence, large objects, when we have large objects, we have many possibilities to analyze, many patterns to pass, many behaviors to assert, which in consequence will be a large test file. So, okay, we have now a web application to test, and we need to cover it from the server until our client, the front end. So I will introduce to you 3 tools for we make all this covering in these applications. The first one is Jest. So why do we use Jest? Jest is our server. Jest we will use to test our server, and also can be used to test the front end. And it's a lib maintained by Facebook and run all kinds of JavaScript projects, so you can test any JavaScript code with it. And it also has some features that can help us a lot, like mocks and snapshots. It helps hard, I know. So we have the second one, the Supertest. We will use it to make our end-to-end test on backend. With it, we will make network requests to our application's endpoints and ensure that it behaves as expected. Cypress. It's a JavaScript framework for running our end-to-end tests on front-end. Cypress builds all your front-end application, opens the browser, and begins to run all you specify in the file. It's super funny. But it's okay. Let's go to the worst part, the scarce part that makes every dev shake. The setup. Okay, the setup is too hard because you have to search a lot of things. But with Jest, you have a Jest config file, and you can config this in the package.json file or a JS file. Like here, we are making it. We have some common problems when we are testing in our server. The first one, the transform, depending of your files. You may need a transformer, for example. You sometimes want to use features that are not yet available natively in the language that you need in the language. So you will need the Babel to make this conversion for you. You have to configure Babel here in the transfer. The test environment, by default, it's JS-DOM. JS-DOM, it's when I'm running front-end tests with Jest. It simulates a little browser in your terminal. So when we are using Jest in the server, we have to change it to Node. So it's a little looks like that, our config file to use in tests. Here is the clear mocks. When you want to clean it, you ever turn it down. So with a lot of research, we can solve some problems of configurations and setup. It's a long time spent researching what to do, what to install, what to configure, like database environments, which happens after runs, clean mocks. I know, it's a lot of things to configure. And sometimes your setup file looks like this. You have to have another file of config to put in the Jest config, like here, a test environment. You have to have another file to make the database configuration. But it's okay. Now you know what to search sometimes to make our setup. It's okay. You're a developer now. You can go ahead and keep developing. It's okay. How Jest can help me? First one is mocks, that represents a functionality with simulated data, so you don't need to access any external information like an API or another layer that make network requests. Here is an example where I mocked the fetch API of a browser that returns a promise with a JSON object. So when the Jest test my component that uses this fetch, it will not make the real fat API. It will use my promise, my mock here. The second one is a snapshots that I like most. Snapshots is like prints of your response in your server, object response, and for front end, it's like a print of the DOM, the HTML of your component or your page or something that you define. And when you change something in the code, the next test will match with the with the current snapshot that is kept. So here we have an example of a match of snapshots. My current snapshot is here, that is in red, and I made a little refactoring in my code, and now it's returning this. So my test will capture this and show for me, oh, Lais, it's different here. So should you go ahead with this refactoring? Here we have an example of snapshots on front end. Here we have our DOM, and if I change something like here, it will show me on red, and I know that had something wrong and could change my client interface. So a good case is when we have an API that is being consumed by several customers, many of customers. So you need to ensure that anyone on your team can refactor that code, knowing what will happen with all the parts of your application. What parts will be affected by this change? So here we have an example of an API that returns an object. That is a message. Here it's a username. And here's the current snapshot of the result of this. So it's an object with that properties. And suddenly, on this Sunday, one of your friends resolved to refactor that code. Needs to change something, needs to change the response, and now the API returns a user object ID. So when I run that test, snapshot will point to your friend what will happen if he makes this change, and it is up to him to see the best way to do this, because it has already been shown what will happen. Maybe this change will break all the customers if they are consuming this API. So the next one is the test coverage. And Jest already has the code covered by default. You just need to run this -- coverage, and it will show to you the percentage of it's covering the file, all your code of tests are covering all your code files. Sorry. So if you want to know more details about what is not being covered by tests, the coverage generates for you an HTML file. So you can click in this and see what is not going on. Like here we have a red line, and maybe I should consider remove this or test some case that use this line. So now we need to do our end-to-end tests on backend. So how it be? Do I need to build all my application, run a several of npm starts in another servers that I have my computer to make it run? So how to deal with dependencies and test micro service? Sorry. I'm nervous. Let's go ahead. So you can test your endpoints. How can I test my endpoints using Supertest? So for use Supertest, you need to have your server config files like routes, controllers, cores in another config file, not the root that start your application like listen when you using Express, and then make the request to your endpoints. So here we have an example of a route in another file, JS file, and I import that file here and make my test. Here, this request is an instance of the Supertest, and I pass my app to it and test invoking the routes and endpoints. Well, our server is all set up and so that we can write a lot of code and request tests for our routes. So let's see how we do it using Cypress for our client. Of course, there are several tools for testing front-end too, including Jest, testing library that tests our DOM. But this time we will go straight to the top of the pyramid tests for the end-to-end tests on front-end. So I introduced you to Cypress, and Cypress is a framework that helps to conduct the behavior of the tests on your interface. Super easy to configure, write, debug, navigate. It's even simplified the whole process for you to integrate with platforms such as GitHub and other platforms for continuing integration like the Circle CI, GitLab, and many others. It also provides a dashboard to store artifacts such as screenshots and recorded videos, because Cypress can record the screen when the test is running in your browser. So let's go to the setup again. So we don't need to cry because with Cypress it's more simple. Cypress has a completely different architecture from another end-to-end front-end tool. And underneath, it's a node process that has access to other layers of your operational system, allowing you to take prints, record videos of your screen, and for this, it is installed locally on your desktop. It's like a desktop application, so install a binary code in your machine. So with this, we have to know that we have to install it always as a development dependency in our application. You want it in your build, in your application build, for production build, sorry. So it provides for you an incredible CLI where you can also pass various configurations such as payroll, specs to test, record, and environment variables. The right syntax of Cypress is very simple to understand. So you can select the element here, like a CSS selector, and to perform some actions with it and make an assertions using expect, should. It's like any other library of assertion. You can use Cypress as a model, so you can perform some actions with tests when you finish, like analyzes the scripts, what is not going okay. I don't know, send an email for your team. Oh, this task failed here, and everybody now is knowing about this because received it by email. And just for make this, you just have to use the cypress.run and running this file like a node, using node like here. The file is test API, I import Cypress here, cypress.run, resolve the promise, shell console log. To run this, I have to run node test app. One thing that Cypress can help a lot to reusing tests, it makes available to us is customized commands. Often to test a flow of your application, we do many repetitions or like to make login, to the same navigations, to go to be in another page. So sometimes you can resume all this in a command, a native Cypress command. So in another file, you define this, what this command will do, and it's available globally on your test files. So you can use it like ci dot my custom command here. And we have the screenshots and videos. Is the better part because you can see what is happening with your client experience. Okay, as we know now, Cypress is a end-to-end test. Opens a browser here that tests everything. Like here in this video, it opens a browser. So as Cypress opens a browser, it can make a real network requests. Okay, so I make the question. I have a question. Should we test performing a real HTTP request for our front-end tests? So let's get to know about the both sides of this history. The first one is that stubbing the response. Stubbing is like I put some objects like they're in Jest to simulate some behavior. So generally, when you want to do an API invocation test on your client, you want to test something like whether parameters were correctly sent to the call, how your client handles with different status codes, response, what's happening in the page when the response is delaying a lot, it's showing the speeder, so you can make the assertion of this. So, but should we make a real call to server? So, Cypress is a framework for end-to-end tests. Without stubbing your answer, you are doing a real end-to-end test. So this ensures that your contract between your server and between your clients, it's really working. You will guarantee that it works in production, but we also have a problem here. This is very slow. So may need to load a database, wait for something real to answer. If you call an external API that don't depend of your team to solve it, occurs a problem with this API, it will block all your tests or it will block all your delivery. So we have a proposal for don't stub the responses here. Use all this kind of tests on the critical paths. So what is the critical paths? The critical paths is like login, user registration, checkout, and this. And okay, now let's know about the stubby response. If you stub the response, you guarantee a faster return, and you will have a greater control of the data that is returned to your clients. But remember, this way you don't guarantee that your response is the same of the server. Okay, if the server changes the response, your client doesn't know about this. Use the stubs only for the major flow cases, okay? When the flow that you're testing is too large, that like has a lot of navigation to arrive there, execute an action. I think it's a large navigation is a good example. So we know that we test our interface, we have Jest and Cypress, and our server we have Jest and Supertest. I have an example here. Sorry, I will show it to you of Cypress testing. Okay. Here is a front-end test, okay? We have the screen of this is running here. I will paste it for you all. It's here. Here in Brazil, we call this is a zip code. Okay, when I put the zip code here, it will return all my address and fill all my other fields. So here is the Cypress test of this all. When you install Cypress, Cypress bring here a lot of examples of how to use many things with Cypress, like actions, aliasing, assertions, and has many comments how to use these fixtures, supports, like here the custom commands, how you make it. So when you install it, it has a lot of examples. So I think you should learn it easily. And here I have the zip code example. Here is when I stub the response. So to stub the response here, I set here in the response property that it will be like my address JSON here. So it won't make the real HTTP request to this address. Here, it only means that when call this address, don't make the real call and response it for my client. To run my test, I configured in my package JSON here. See, I run, it will be hidden, so it
5
will
minutes.
open the browser. 5 minutes, okay. And my reporter will be the Nyancat. My file test will be this, and don't exit. So I will run this test. I love the reporter of Nyancat. Oh, it opens in my another screen. So it prints, and I removed that. Sorry, I didn't save here my test file. So the response must be this text and this text. Cypress is really too slow. Here is the same text of my fixture. So here I'm stubbing the response. And when I don't want to stub the response, I just don't need to define the response. And here it will make a real HTTP request. So the real HTTP request that I will make is for this address. So we'll respond with another address. Let's run again. I'm almost finished. And here is another address because it's the real HTTP request. It's okay. Let's finish the talk. Making this talk, I learned about something new, like writing test code. Sorry. So the first one that I learned it with Martin Fowler. Okay, the test code is important as the production code, so it have to be readability. Have to be a good readability for who is reading this. The second one is one condition per test helps a lot to make the assertions and faster tests. Arrange, act, assert, given, when, then helps you to structure your test. Here we have an example. When we comment with given, when, then, it's clearly to understand. And the last one is try to find a balance between dry and day. Maybe you can write many repetitions when you are writing a test, setups, and if it helps the readability, it's good. Maybe you should consider keep it in tests. Don't have problem. So categorize your tests under these two levels helps a lot to understand here when some test fails, you know exactly where and how to begin to fix it. And I would like end by my talk by talking with tests. We are investing time in quality for our application, and this time invested in test effort should be considered when you're developing a software. Sometimes different kinds of tests like infrastructure are required, and they have cost too. Cost time in machines, running in the CI, and the intellectual time to of a developer writing it. So is your company it's up to pay for this quality, for all this time, for all the tools to test? And we really should think a little more about this. So I want to finish my talk say thank you for all, and thank you Geekle for this opportunity for my first international talk. Thank you to all my friends that helped me to make this talk. And here we have some links and references, and you can keep talking me on my social media. Here we have my nicks, and you can ping me there. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Lais. That was super interesting presentation. There was so much support coming from chat during your presentation. Like it was tons of messages, and somebody, I think, I don't know the translation, but it's Vamos, Lais.
Yeah.
I hope that it's something good. So.
Yeah, now it's all right.
Yay. Thanks a lot. I feel that I just want to start writing tests right now, but I have so many talks to moderate soon. Thank you again. And we are happy that like everybody liked your memes. So it's dope. And we will speak with Lais in a couple of minutes on our panel discussion. Please don't forget to post your question in our Q&A section. And yes, you can ping Lais in Slack, ask for presentations, ask for anything. So see you in 4 minutes. And now just take your time. I see that we drink a lot. Somebody drinks coffee, somebody drinks beer. So just take your time, get some bio break, and we are waiting you here in 4 minutes. See you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.